Hi, I'm Abby, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, 1 Minute Off. Still write that out in the script, even though I say it every single video. You may notice that I'm in a new space. It's sort of decorated. I did that earlier. I think I did pretty well. I just moved, so I am in a new apartment with a new roommate, and it's awesome. We have 2 cats, and they are slowly learning to get along, I believe. And yeah, welcome to the first video that I'm recording in this new apartment. Hooray. I'm not sure about you, but I love watching movies on planes. I think movies on planes is one of the best human inventions, more so than planes. I'll watch movies on a plane that I would never ever, I would never go out of my way to see in my daily life. A few months ago, I took a plane from my cozy little town in western Massachusetts to Burbank, California. I had a nice time. I'll talk about that at some point. And I really wanted to know how they actually curate these collections of movies on planes, because it's always weird, right? It's always a few blockbusters and a few foreign films maybe, and then some kids stuff, and then just the most random assortment of movies you've ever seen. It's gonna be the same people who choose the the artist photos that go onto the Ford music car player.
Hi there, I'm the guy who picks the photos that come up when you play music in your car and spend up to sometimes a calendar year cave diving into Google Images to find the perfect image that is so piss poor. Look at this one, I grind. If you told me that this is an electronic music icon, I would say no, this is the leader of a local 4-H club.
It's obviously a very limited section, and having done a little bit of research, I learned that for bigger airplanes, there's actually an entire group of people working in this department whose main job is working with production companies and content service providers to make sure everything is licensed so they can have it on their plane. So there you go. I guess there's, you learn something new every day. Regardless of how they choose them, it's always great because I always find something great to watch. And in this case, which was a surprise advancement in my never-ending search for the perfect goofy horror movie, I found this doozy from 1986. I love horror movies. I love goofy horror movies. I love slashers. I think they can be funny and also dramatic. I don't have any... I love bad horror movies too. This one's very controversial. After I watched this, I went online and kind of read some of the comments about it, and apparently it's kind of a cult classic. It has a little bit of a following, but some people really, really hate the ending. The ending is very controversial, I guess. I thought it was awesome, though. This movie was directed by Fred Walton, who has done other super famous horror movies like The Sitter in 1977 and Trapped in 1989. Wonder if that's anything like Trapped 2024. Anyways, it's this classic horror movie setup. College seniors stuck for the weekend in a cabin somewhere remote on an island. But it's got this wonderful, wonderful twist to it. It's just delightful. I love it. Some people hate it. And just some notes before we get into it, really. This is one of those kind of a nostalgic 80s slasher films. So you've got this dreamlike filter over the whole thing. Some things are kind of fuzzy. Some of the trailer shots give a little bit of David Lynch, honestly. And that's one of the first things you notice. I mean, the visual obviously is it's nostalgic. That's what it is. They captured nostalgia somehow. The second thing you'll notice, and the thing that really enticed me to watch this movie, is that one of the characters is Amy Steele, who was in Friday the 13th, I think part 2, I believe. But one of the other characters is Biff from Back to the Future. So that was kind of the selling point for me. I'd literally never seen Biff outside of anything else besides Back to the Future. So I kind of knew it was worth it already just to see that. So I'm going to sit you down and I'm going to tell you all about this silly little slasher comedy with a twist that even honestly got me. And I'll let you know when I'm getting into that big twist so you could, shut off the video before if you really want to go experience it. I think you should. I highly recommend watching the movie and then coming back to this video. Okay, without further ado, for April Fool's Day, here is 1986's April Fool's Day. And honestly, before I even start the review, one of the things I want to emphasize about this movie is one of the things that really kind of irks me about a lot of horror movies. I feel like a horror movie oftentimes, especially in the 80s or whatever, can end up being really bad or boring, and not because of the villain or the story or the idea, but because the people in them just don't really seem like really fleshed out real human beings. And so when they're killed off, you don't really care that much because you didn't really get a chance to kind of see who they are as people and care. This movie is the total opposite of that. Every single dynamic between every single character in this is it's interesting, and it makes you want to see more of them interacting. It does make you feel like you're watching human beings who are actually talking to each other like human beings. And they're all very funny. And also, one of the other important setups about this movie is that, well, it's right in the title. This group of friends, they like to prank each other. They love it. It's pretty much the reason that they're all friends with each other. The premise of the story, like I said, is a classic, simple 80s slasher setup. A group of college students are setting out to spend a fun weekend all together at their rich friend's remote island cabin before their senior graduation. The friends are waiting on a dock for the ferry to take them over to their rich friend Muffy St. John's father's lake house for a fun weekend getaway. The movie begins with a home recording by goofy guy Chaz, the videographer of the group. Camera is pointed at a cute blonde who introduces herself as Nikki, Chaz's current girlfriend. It then pans to Kit, who shyly passes on an introduction. Then it goes to Arch, there's Biff by the way, and Skip, who introduces himself as Muffy's distant cousin. And they are best friends who love each other very, very much and are totally, totally not gay. Already this is like so many friends, it's like unrealistic. I can't imagine having this rowdy group of like mostly boys in my parents' mansion, but I digress as usual. The movie then cuts to a scene of Muffy in the basement of her parents' house, moving things around. Clara, the maid, asks if she need any help as she's leaving and there won't be a ferry back until Monday. Muffy, focused on whatever she's arranging, says they'll be fine and that it will be an unforgettable weekend. Clara leaves and Muffy turns to pick up a dusty Jack-in-the-Box toy. As she slowly spins it, we're greeted with this memory of her childhood birthday party where she first got the toy. The beautiful, swelling music is set perfectly to her turning the key over and over until we get the first jump scare of the movie, which is just like the perfect combination of like, it got me, I jumped, but it was kind of goofy. But this is, you get the background. She's always been from a family of pranksters, I guess. The scene beautifully sets up the whole tone for the movie, too. I mean, there seems to be something kind of like darker about Muffy, but we're not really sure what that is yet. There are a few latecomers to the group. First is Nan, a girl who only befriended Muffy last semester. The rest of the group seems to have known Muffy for considerably longer, but Nan is the one who seems to like genuinely adore her the most. And she's kind of like the bookworm / outsider of the group. Finally, the last two guys show up. It took me a while to get all the characters in this, like I had to write down. I should put my notes in here, honestly. Rob is this, handsome, fit, athletic guy. He's got dreams of going to medical school. Harvey is kind of like your average like Harvard douchebag. He's really just there to schmooze with Muffy and get a job interview with her dad. There's a scene with a lot of great character dynamics on the ferry ride over. Like, you just got introduced to like 9 people, but you kind of slowly figure out what each of their deal is. Like, it's the 80s, so like they're kind of all trying to sleep with each other. But really, I think it's some of the like best sort of like friendship exposition I've ever seen in like a goofy 80s slasher movie. I can't talk today, apparently. When they arrive at the island, Arch and Skip, those silly, goofy guys, they're fooling around near the dock, throwing a knife around. They seem to be playing some sort of game where one throws the knife into the dock and the other one is like sad when it sticks in. I don't know. Skip teases Arch just a little too much, and suddenly, Arch throws the knife at Skip, which stabs him straight through the stomach. And he falls into the water. And at first, you're in shock. Everyone's in shock. They're all freaking out. And Rob and Buck, who's the ferry hand, jump in to save him. But after a few moments of panic, the tension falls when Skip surfaces and just starts to laugh, revealing fake blood and a fake wound. He has successfully laid the first prank of the weekend. Arch and Skip laugh, and the other kids tell him that they're dicks, and there's just this moment of palpable relief between the group. However, Rob had emerged from the water at this point, but Buck decided to stay in and link the rope from down below the deck. However, he doesn't throw the rope high enough, and his head is slowly crushed between the dock and the oncoming boat. And this just kind of picks you right back up, right? Like, everyone screams as he, like, somehow manages to emerge from the water. His face is, like, unrecognizably bloody. Ferryman pulls Buck out and onto a skipper where he's quickly jetted off to the hospital. Notice, that's minus 1 boat that they have now. The rest of the friends just kind of stand in shock as to what happened, right as Muffy comes to greet everyone. When they tell her what happened, she seems concerned, but honestly not really too concerned. Not as much, concern as the situation would probably warrant, which again makes you feel like maybe you can't trust her as much as you can trust these other guys. The constable tells Muffy he'll need her other boat to go make sure Buck is okay, and he doesn't really seem too thrilled about this, like, group of pranksters staying here for the weekend, so he tells them to stay put, stay together, don't get into any more trouble. So the cop is gone, he's pissed at them, and the extra boat is now gone, so they're stuck there. Classic. They're all pretty shaken on the drive up to the cabin, understandably so. Skip is very stressed out because he feels like it's his fault that a guy got, crushed by a boat. Everyone tells him it's not his fault and it was an accident, but he can't really seem to let it go. Incredibly morbid side note, the actor who played Skip, Griffin O'Neill, was actually convicted of negligent boat operation in the same year this movie released. He wound up killing Giancarlo Coppola, like the son of Francis Ford, so... Anyway, the friends seem to forget about Buck as they kind of marvel at the mansion and the space Muffy has set up for them. She informs the group that soon the mansion is going to be hers when she turns 21 next month, provided that she can prove to her father that she can take care of it herself. It turns out she's also set up just, like a bunch of fun pranks for her friends, which begin, innocently enough with dribble glasses and whoopee cushions, but eventually kind of turn into like heavier pranks. Again, I said this about the fairy, but the dinner scene is incredible, like, character master study. Biff says some stuff here that's like just really beautiful. Like, on a second rewatch, it almost like brought tears to my eye. And I could just I could just watch these kids talk to each other like they're old college friends all day. Something very nostalgic and warm about the dialogue, and people don't make movies like this anymore. However, Skip is noticeably missing from the dinner group as he is outside getting wasted and stumbling all around into, like, nearing the lake. Not good. After dinner, the rest of the group just heading into their respective rooms, and we get more information about the relationships between each of them and Muffy. Nikki and her seem to both have dated Arch, and she's kind of worried about Chaz now, but she still likes Muffy, and, like, they're still like, her friends all seem to like her just fine, but they also, make these comments about her, like, oh, well, nothing bad ever happens to Muffy. Like, nothing, like, it must be hard, like, the life of the rich and undeserving. They seem to like her fine, but they seem like, kind of a bit more inclined to stay friends with her because of her money than anything else. And of course, the pranks. Each of the friends finds these little pranks in their rooms. Rob and Kit find this painting with cut out eyes, and they remove it just to reveal one of those, like, the cat clock things. Harvey finds some, mysterious newspaper clippings with headlines like, 6 die in a fog and teens killed in a car accident. And they're all circled in red. Nikki finds a BDSM collar, I guess. Archie finds, like, drug paraphernalia. Nan finds a recording of a crying baby's voice in her dresser and seems to be, like, a bit more hurt by this than everyone else is. Alright, we're gonna get into, like, more spoilers now, so if you want to go watch this movie, shut it off now. If you don't want to hear about the kills and everything, pause it, go watch it, come back. While they're all settling down for bed, Skip stumbles out into the dock shed, explores the darkness a little bit, but then suddenly someone grabs him by the neck. The next day, the next scene, Kit goes down to the kitchen to find Muffy, who's looking pretty bad. She's looking pretty ragged. She rushes off and says, she forgot to get dressed. And this is kind of odd, but, everyone kind of shakes it off and just goes outside, and they're playing soccer. Except for Nan, who wants to kind of, like, wait and see what Muffy wants to do. And she notices Muffy go into the dock shed from across the lawn. Later, Rob and Kit decide to go in there, too, but right in the middle of it, Kit looks down between the deck boards and sees Skip's dead body. Now, again, understandably, the group's really starting to freak out. Skip, their friend, has clearly been murdered by somebody, and at first they think it was the guy Buck, the deckhand, who got pretty hurt earlier. Muffy reappears just as Rob and Arch go into the woods to look for Skip or Buck to see if they could find either of them. She's asking what's wrong and if she could make tea for everyone to help calm their nerves. She's still unnervingly calm about the whole thing. And her appearance also has, like, changed dramatically from the beginning of the movie. Later, Harvey overhears Nan confronting Muffy about the voice recording. She says to Muffy that she thinks it was a dig at the fact that Nan had an abortion last semester, which Muffy claims to know nothing about. Alright, we're halfway through, and it's just gonna ramp up from here, so again, I'm warning you. If you don't want to know what happens, definitely click off now. Arch goes into the woods to look for Skip when he passes by a snake and almost gets bit by it. Thankfully he misses, but then he hears a sound and turns towards it and accidentally steps into a hanging trap. And then he gets bit by the snake. We see him struggling upside down as he is approached by a stranger's shoes. We cut to Nan sitting alone on a bench. She's crying. We have learned by now that there's a killer seeking out these kids, and they should not be without each other. So this is not looking great for her, either. Back at the house, the main water pipe bursts, and Muffy tells the group there's still water outside in the well. Nikki and Harvey decide to go together, and Harvey just tries his very best to flirt with her. Fortunately, he drops the bucket straight into the well, and Nikki tries to help with the flashlight, but then she drops the flashlight too. So logically, she heads down there to retrieve the items, but of course the ladder breaks and she falls right in. As she floats, she discovers not only the decapitated head of Arch, but also Nan's body as well. They're both, they're freaking out, obviously. Harvey manages to pull her out just in time and they head back to the house. Phone's now finally working and they've managed to get the constable on the line. Despite the kid's worries, the police says that Buck and the other ferryman have been with him all day, so therefore it's impossible for either of them to be the killer. With only 6 of the 9 kids left, they go around, they start locking all the windows and doors, and they say, alright, we gotta stay together. So immediately Kit goes off on her own into Muffy's dad's study, and she finds an eerie picture of Muffy on the desk, but there's another identical girl with her. What? Muffy sees her do this, says some cryptic shit about, sometimes the boats don't make it across the lake. And the conclusion that the group has come to, obviously, they begin to wonder if Muffy has, in fact, brought them all here this weekend to kill them one by one. Muffy overhears this conversation, and she confronts everybody, says this is her home, and that she'll be in her room. So still a weird response. I mean, bad accusation, obviously, too. Like, you don't want to be, like, accusing your friend of that, but... And then be wrong. That'd be bad. Regardless, her demeanor is much, much more ominous now. Nikki and Chaz start arguing about her wanting to leave, and he puts the mask on in an attempt to calm her down. This does not work, and she leaves the room in anger. Are you seeing the pattern? When she returns, which is honestly only maybe 5 minutes later, Chaz is covering his groin area with his hands, and she frustratingly slaps his hands out of the way to reveal that he has no groin area. She screams, assuming he's dead too, because he's not moving or talking. Rob and Kit go to explore the attic, and also find out that Muffy has fashioned little voodoo dolls of each of them, some in some compromising positions. I feel like I've said this 5 times already, but now they're thoroughly freaked out. Rob and Kit run downstairs to alert the rest of the group, but once they enter Nikki's room, they're greeted with a bloodbath all over the bed. We actually don't even see her body or anything. It's just, like, blood marks on the bed. They run into Harvey's room too, but they see him hanging from the ceiling. It's going quick now. This is like the last half an hour of the movie. Deciding they need to get out now, they run outside and head to the dock, where they actually see the constable's boat is parked, but there's no constable in sight. This is weird, huh? What they do find in the boat is a letter to the police department, seemingly from a mental institution, letting them know about Miss St. John's escape from her 3-year stay there. And they're confused because Muffy's been at Vassar with them for the last 3 years. They also discover that the boat key is in fact missing, so they need to go back to the house and get it. Classic. Entering through the basement window, which we saw Muffy set up at the beginning of the movie, I guess it's that way, the couple finds Muffy's clothes in the incinerator, as well as a height chart that bears the names Muffy and Buffy. I love it. I love it. Now they're aware that Muffy has a secret twin named Buffy, who spent the last few years at a mental hospital, I guess. And that twin could be in the house with them right now. Suddenly, they see the same exact portrait that they found in their room earlier, but it's got different eyes now. Kit slowly pulls the portrait back to reveal Muffy, but she's not alive anymore. Now they're just kind of running through the house for their lives from this crazy Buffy character. As she emerges from the door, brandishing this, comically large knife. She traps Rob in a pantry, and she runs after Kit. Here's your last chance for the plot twist, by the way. No, it hasn't already happened. I know, go watch the movie. Did you think it was it was Buffy? It wasn't Buffy. It wasn't. It's something else. Okay. Alright. Last chance. Alright. Buffy's got Kit cornered, and it kind of looks like it's the end for her. Rob is yelling through the door that he loves her, and suddenly Kit opens the double doors to reveal each of her friends, perfectly unharmed, all sitting around in the living room, waiting for her. Baffled, Kit turns around to look at Buffy, who's really just Muffy, poking the fake knife into her hand, showing Kit that everything was just an elaborate prank. She reveals to the group that she set all of this up because she will be inheriting her dad's mansion next week when she turns 21. However, she wanted to know that she could make sure it could, pay for itself, so her whole idea was to make the house into a country inn with a whodunit sort of mystery twist for tourists who are looking for a little bit more spook, I guess, on their vacations. The more spook-inclined tourists, if you will. This weekend was a test run. She set up everything from the fake clues about her fake twin to the prosthetic bust of Arch's head. Harryman was in on it. The cop was in on it. The cop's really just Muffy's uncle. And Skip, who is not actually her long-distance cousin. He's the real twin. Skip St. John. This is the best plot twist in a movie I've seen in a long time. I have so many questions about, how it's such an elaborate thing to pull off, right? Because none of the friends knew in the beginning that they were doing this. So everyone, every time they got caught by Muffy, they were genuinely scared. And they had to stay secret until everyone died, right? And they had the final girl. Everyone had to work together. So I don't really know how that works, but Muffy's a genius. I think that's clear enough. The movie ends with the friends celebrating and drinking, I think, champagne. To Three Dog Nights, Mama Told Me Not to Come, which is another pull at my heart, because I love that song. A little later on, we see Muffy pretty drunk in her room. She finds a present on the bed, and she kind of looks around like, who did this? And it's a jack-in-the-box, just like from the beginning. She slowly turns it, and as she does, Nan emerges from behind her and slits her throat with a knife, spilling blood all over the bed. Just kidding. Muffy starts to freak out, but she gets confused because she's not dying, and Nan reveals the fake knife and the turkey baster that she used to set up this final prank. Like I said, this is one of the best, like, goofy horror movies I've ever seen. It's like Scream and Clue all in one. And it also has, like, one of the most gorgeous original soundtracks that I've ever heard. But yeah, I don't know. Personally, I really liked it. I love that I had no idea what was coming. They give it to you the whole time. They say it the whole movie that these guys love pranks. But it's a horror movie, so you're not sure what to believe when they start, you know, getting killed off. I honestly thought at first, when I first watched this movie, I thought it was the Buffy aspect, right? I'm sure you did too. But nope. It was so much more awesome. It's definitely like an underrated horror gem. Maybe it's not as underrated as I thought, but it's very controversial. I have a lot, like, it's about 50-50 online of people who, like, love the ending because it's so silly and goofy, and absolutely hate it because it's not what they signed up for. And in that latter category is true, like, it did fail marketing wise because it wasn't what it was advertised to be. Like, it was a prank movie at the end of it. But honestly, I just said that out loud, and it feels like that's not even fair to say because it was a horror movie. It does have kills in it. So you know what? I think people are just kind of being unfair. Yeah, you know what? I've arrived at this conclusion. I think it's silly and goofy and amazing. And I think, you know, if you're a fan of horror at all and you're, like, lenient on your expectations going into a movie, you'll really like this. I just watched a video by Red Letter Media about the presence and people going to movie theaters, and it does feel like we're kind of, like, primed to watch a certain sort of horror movie nowadays. Talking about how the presence, they liked it and it was a good movie, but it's not traditional in the sense of, like, of how horror movies tend to go nowadays. They'd say it way better than I could articulate it, but this is kind of the same sort of thing where, like, it's not gonna be, if you're expecting an 80s goofy slasher movie, that's exactly what it is. It's just got this plot twist that honestly might make you mad if you are, like, a kind of a snooty film guy. I mean, it's not a perfect movie either. There's parts of it that didn't really flow great. There were a few, like, deaths we didn't really get to see, though you could argue that just kind of adds to the whole illusion at the end of the day. Some of it's a little convoluted, obviously. That's just kind of the nature of it. But I think it plays on all of these tropes that were so popular in, like, 80s slashers, and it does it so well. And, like, again, it just makes you care about all these characters as people, so when they die you're like, no, god, no. And then at the end, when they're actually all alive, you're, like, jumping for joy. It's so great. I don't know. No, I do know. This is a great, like, feel-good horror movie, honestly. Even for somebody who doesn't really even necessarily like slashers that much. Because guess what? They're all fine at the end of the day. They're fine. They all live. Thanks for watching if you made it all the way through. Have you seen April Fool's Day? Do you think it's, like, deserving of its cult classic status or not? Like, what status do you even think that is? Do you like the ending? Do you hate the ending? And why? 6 to 8 sentences, please, in the comments below. Have you seen the weird 2008 version of this movie that came out? I didn't. I would be inclined to watch it, maybe. It may or may not be a remake. I'm not even sure. Did you stop this video and go watch the movie and then watch the rest of this when you came back? Let me know down below, and while you're at it, feel free to like and subscribe as well. I'm Abby. This is 1 Minute Off, and I am gonna go trick my friends into staying in a mansion with me while I pretend to kill them for a prank. Bye.